Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 1966, or 1967, depending who you listen to. It's The Miraculous Virgin by Stefan Uhr. This is a second run Blu-ray release, and this is from the Slovak half of Czechoslovakia. And this is another excellent second run release that's quite hard to describe. Definitely not for people who shudder at the word art house, because this pretty much has all the elements of art house that people can sometimes be a little bit wary of. It has surrealism in it. It has lots of wonderful camera tricks in it. It has people talking philosophy. It's black and white. It has a non-linear narrative. Doesn't really have that much of a narrative at all. But it's quite astounding. As usual with second run, there is a booklet inside, and there's some good extras. It's marked by Darkness from 1959, which is a short film by Stefan Uhr, presented for the first time on home video. There's The Story of the Miraculous Virgin from 2018, which is a newly created documentary on the film and its legacy, and Looking for Annabella, an archival documentary on the filmmaker's search for the titular lead. So this is basically about this mysterious girl, Annabella, or the Miraculous Virgin, who turns up and inspires a group of artists, or gets a group of artists into a frenzy about her, as she drifts through their community, and they drift in and out of the story. It's kind of focused on two artists, one of which looks a bit like Melvin Hayes, who's from the British sitcom Ain't Half Hot Mum. You can Google that to see what this Czechoslovakian actor unfortunately looks like. And once you've seen it, you can't get it out your mind if you're familiar with the Ain't Half Hot One. And the titular character is played by Jolanta Umeka, who's kind of interesting because she was in Knife in the Water, she was in The Miraculous Virgin, and one other film, and that's all the films she ever made. And I thought, well, she must have died early, so I looked her up, but she's still alive at the age of 86. So she only made 3 films in her career. Stefan Uhr's one of his other films, The Sun in a Net, is also available on second run. And interestingly, this is the first time I've had second runs for quite a while, and it's the first time I've actually noticed they are numbered on the spines. I mean, what have I been doing all my life? I've been keeping my second runs in alphabetical order, and they're actually numerical. I know, shocker. But what makes this film so special is the compositions. I mean, it's a film about art. It's a film about trying to create art that's different. It's about the relationship between art and reality. So that's where the kind of surrealism enters. As I said, we've got one painter who lives in this attic. There's wonderful stuff with a mirror. And he's the first to meet Annabella and fall for her. There's air raids going on. There's military police about. As with all the Czech films in the 60s, oppression is not that far away, even if it's about something different. So he's kind of the central character, and then we have another artist who's a sculptor who during the day, or for his day job, basically makes death masks in a cemetery, which again is some absolutely beautiful compositions in this section. He's also making a monument, a statue to the country. He makes his own version of this later in the film. He's called the Raven. So there's lots of wonderful stuff featuring a raven. And they're basically the two main kind of artists in the group. We are introduced to the other artists in the group. There's a poet, for example. But as you can tell, there's not really a lot to talk about as far as plot points and spoilers or anything like that. This is another one of the second run's releases that you have to just watch because it's very difficult to describe. So like Vampire Kiadachuk and like the Naked Emperor's the Emperor's Naked Army Marches On. These are films that you have to see to believe almost. But the thing that makes The Miraculous Virgin special is the compositions. As I say, it's a film about art and artists, but the actual compositions that are used are very painterly. Annabella's accommodation when she arrives to enroll in the university, it's just so painterly composed. There's just wonderful imagery in the film. It just kind of goes from beautiful composition to beautiful composition. We also have the importance of nature to art and nature in the world. But again, it's that, do artists actually live in reality, or are they just living in their own little bubble and they don't have any really real concept of quote unquote the real world? And The Miraculous Virgin is essentially just an example of a muse that passes through their life and passes through their circle and leads them to reevaluate what they're working on, what they're doing, what is the point. Because again, does art actually change anything? Does a painting actually change the political landscape of your country? Or are you basically just blowing smoke up your arse? But again, I can't obviously describe The Miraculous Virgin or even say it. I can't actually describe it very well because again, it is just a film to be seen. But I wanted to do a video on it, just as a request to go buy it, because it is quite wonderful. If you're into second run titles, you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it, I think. If you're not into second run titles, it will probably annoy you. Or again, if you're into everything must have a narrative, everything must be explained, then obviously, well, most second run titles aren't for you. And The Miraculous Virgin's probably not going to be for you as well. But if you just love beautiful imagery, interesting discussion, and just those painterly compositions that you could easily put up in an art gallery, You should get a lot of enjoyment from the Miraculous Virgin. So please tell me in the comments if you've seen the Miraculous Virgin, and what you thought of it. And let me know if you keep your second runs by spine number, because I just recently realised there are spine numbers, the cheeky wee monkeys. They were doing stealth spine numbers all this time, or whether you just keep them alphabetically, as I was foolishly doing. Oh, but now this changes everything. So thanks very much for watching. I do apologise as I don't seem to be able to speak today, and hopefully you'll join me again for certainly more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.